Bonjour mesdames et messieurs, in this episode I bring you to the Antelope Canyon. Bonjour mesdames et messieurs, my name is Serge Remedy. I am a French photographer from the beautiful, the amazing city of Paris, France. Right now traveling in Page, Arizona, and this is the Antelope Canyon. This is actually the lower Antelope Canyon. Now, if you want to get the raw file of this episode, which is going to be some amazing raw file, all you have to do is sign into my website by clicking here, and the link under this video will function and will give you the raw files. And these raw files are going to be pretty cool. All right, so follow me. I want to show you how I shot this canyon. It's probably one of the nicest places on this planet, at least for me. And it's quite an adventure. Come with me. Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs. So I'm back in front of my computer. I'm going to show you some of the best shots that I got from the Antelope. So the Antelope is located in Page, Arizona. It's something that I've shot already 6 years ago, and I just fell totally in love for the place. I'm going to show you some of my best shots. So you've got what I did 6 years ago was the upper Antelopes, and then you got the lower Antelopes, which I did both this year. I really wanted, not only I did both, but I did the photography tour. So you got a regular tour that's pretty cheap, and then you got the photography tour where you're just by yourself with one guide. And believe me, if you're into photography, it's totally worth the price. I think the upper was about $85 and the lower was about $40 for the photographic tour. It's the best $120 I have ever spent. The place is just breathtaking beautiful, as you can see on some of the photos. And it's just, it's just a great place to be and to see. I just really love it. Like, for example, if you are on a photographic tour, they will do this little sand thing. They'll throw sand at the rocks to get this sort of waterfall. They'll take pictures of you. It's just, it's just a unique experience. I'm really happy with the photos. And look at this. What a beautiful scene. The fact that the light diffuses everywhere, it just makes it so interesting photo. Photography is writing with the light, and having such an interesting light just makes it really cool. All right, so let's dive in. I'm not going to show you the hours and hours I spent trying to figure out how to retouch this photo, because believe me, they need some skill of retouching. One of the hardest tasks I found was to find the right balance. Now, I want to show you something so you get the philosophy of the retouching and the trick that I'm going to give you. I actually created a collection here with my best photos. I'm going to select them all by pressing Command A. And if I press N on my keyboard, I'm going to go in survey mode. Shift Tab, I'm going to put this in full screen. And you can see that the colors are roughly in the same gamut, in the same area, let's say. Up here you have the upper, the upper canyon, which is very red and yellow, and lower you got more magenta, which is the magenta and more red, and more blue, sorry, the lower canyon, because the lighting is completely different. The upper canyon is actually pretty closed. There's not much sun coming through, very dark. Well, the lower canyon is really open to the sky a lot, so you get a lot more colors. So I had to do a lot of saturation actually on the upper more than on the lower, because the upper, the day that I went there, was completely overcast. So not only that there is not much sun coming through, but it was like there was really not enough light, so it was lacking of saturation. When I did the upper, the lower canyon the next day, which is the film you just saw, there was a lot of light, so there was a lot of saturation. Anyways, so let's jump into the retouching. Shift tab to go out of this. E to go back into full screen mode. I'm going to jump back into what I prepared for you guys, and here we go. So the reason I showed you this is that the only way to really retouch this is use presets. What I mean by that is if you try to retouch every photo for its own, they're going to look all very different, because you're going to have different white balance, different exposure. And so I try to work within a frame of preset. Let me show you what I mean. So I've got this photo here, which is the final result of what we're going to do. And if you see here, I'm going to show you what I did. You see, I've got my white balance around 4,000 on the temp and about +9 on the magenta. So I'm going to do just that. I'm going to go with 3,000, 4,000 is kind of fine. 4,000 +9. Okay, then I open up the shadows. I brought down the highlights. This trick, I did my white point and my black point. But it took me literally 2 hours to figure out what was the right white balance. I mean, what would work. Because not only I changed the white balance, but it's all about the colors. I did different things here on this photo. And so let's go through it. What else did I do on this one? Okay. And I'm actually going to give you all the presets in a few raw files, so you don't have to take notes. You just have to download it if you're logged into my website, and you can download it. You see, now I added a lot of vibrance and saturation, +57, +41, a lot. So let's just do that. All right, numbers don't have to be exact, but the idea was like a lot. So now we're getting closed. But that's not the only thing that I did. If you look at it, it's got a different type of glow. And I went into the U and changed the red to -13. So all this is going to be the preset. Imagine if you had to do this for every photo. So -13, about something like this. So if you go on the right, it's going to make it very yellowish. If you go on the left, it's going to make it very red. If you just go a little bit on the -13, it takes the reds and makes them even more red. Okay, so that's something that I did also just to get the colors back, because in real life it looks much more red than I had on the raw files, especially when the light comes through. Whenever the light comes through, it gets very saturated. Okay, sharpening, I went crazy on this one. I went 100 and almost noise reduction. I shot everything on a tripod. Oh, by the way, that's something I forgot to mention. What I did is I shot everything on a tripod in manual mode, and I would evaluate for every photo what would be the good exposure, and then I would do -2 and +2. So just to be safe. Don't even think of doing anything than taking a tripod. It's totally mandatory because it's very low light. Some people are going there with taking iPhone photos, but if you follow that YouTube channel, my YouTube channel, you know that I work with galleries, I do books, I want to get the best landscape possible. So let's carry on here. So sharpening, I went crazy 100 because I really want the texture to just really come out. Now, if you look at it here, there is another point to mention is clarity. Clarity, I did 0 clarity because it's going to look weird if you do too much clarity. The other thing that it is chromatic aberration, profile correction. That's the classic that I always do. And the last thing that I did here on this one is 2 things actually. One is here in camera calibration, in red primary, I went +2. It's a small thing, but it's just going to add a little touch of orange on your photo. +2, it's just not much. +2, +3 is good enough. Okay, now one other thing that I did on this one is that, and we don't have the issue on this photo, but you'll see on later photos, is that when you have an opening on the sky, you get different white balance. The light coming from the outside is very blue and then gets color cast from the red rocks. So what I did is I always like to add a little a radial filter wherever there is the most light. Of course, invert the mask and feather it. And all I'm going to do on this one is add some yellow. Add a bit of yellow and a bit of exposure. Not much, but just a little bit. Okay. Now, once I've done that, what I did, and that's very important because imagine I had 400 photos to retouch. Imagine if I had to do this on 400 photos. I would go crazy. So once I spend all this time finding the right white balance, at least to my taste, some people cannot stand very saturated photos. So they would probably go, lower the saturation, lower the vibrance, and go into the boring, low saturation look, Not me. I'm all about saturation. My philosophy on saturation is very simple. I want to go to the limit of human experience. Meaning if I saturate too much a color where it's completely unnatural, it looks from Mars, then that's not good. But believe me, when you go into this canyon and you go when the light shines through, it looks like this. At least that's how I remember it, and that's how I want to communicate it. That's why I did not use Aura HDR, and I tried to do as much, and the only HDR that I did, and I'll show you that, is within Lightroom. I know some people don't like the HDR in Lightroom. I think it's awesome for natural result. If you don't like the HDR look and you like the natural result, you will love the Lightroom HDR, and I'm going to show you why in a sec. All right, so now I got my first photo. I'm really happy about it. Boom. I'm going to go here in my preset. I created a folder here. You can create a folder. It's a new folder. I created a folder called Antelopes, and this one I'm going to call it Upper because it's the Upper Canyon. Upper Canyon 1, for example, or try, because I've already done it. Okay, once I created this, I can just take a photo and actually created a whole variation here of preset. You see, I created presets for the lower canyon and for the upper canyon. So this is the upper canyon. I can just click one click and boom, I've got my photo retouch. All I have to do is go into my radial filter, and if there is one, and in this one there is not, but if I take the upper canyon try that we just created, that's the look that it has. Now remember, a preset is a starting point, but I don't have to redo all we did. I just have to adjust a little bit. So I can go here and in my radial filter, which is here, I've selected this. I can click on the pin and make sure it goes where the light is. I think this one is a little too dark, so I can boost the overall exposure, and I'm done. And that's how I retouch all the photos really fast. There is some occasion, as I said, all the photos I shot in bracketing, but there is some occasion where I had to do HDR to get the dynamic range that I wanted. And the way I did it is very simple, just straight in Lightroom. And let me show you why. So, for example, this is normal exposure, under exposure here, and over exposure here. I'm going to select, I'm going to take the first one, if you want it, and I'm going to click here on for example, this one, which is Canyon Bright. Oh, sorry, I'm not on the right one. I'm on the HDR version. Okay, I'm on the raw files now, and I'm going to click here on Upper Canyon Bright 2, I think, or 1. Yeah, Canyon Bright 1. That's a preset that I created. I love how it looks, but you see how it totally burned here? There is like no information here whatsoever. I can bring down the highlights even more, but I still lost everything because it's just one raw file. It's completely burned. It's gone. Now, if I take, you can even leave whatever you did. You can just select all three. So the normal, the under, and the exposed. And it doesn't matter if you did something, any sliders you move, it does not matter. You just right click, photo merge, HDR. And then all I do is auto align. It's going to create a preview, and I click on merge, and that's all I do. Then I try my preset on the result HDR, and you will see the difference. It's not huge. Okay, I can click here on merge, but I've already done it. So here is my non-HDR. I'm going to give it a 2-star. Here is my HDR, and I'm going to take the same preset, which is Upper Canyon Bright 2, the one that we used. Okay, now I'm going to take both of these photos, press C to compare, Shift Tab to go into full screen mode. Look at the difference. I'm going to zoom in here on the top. So on my left, with a weight of 50 megas, we have the HDR from Lightroom. And on my right, we have the single raw file. You see how it's completely burned here? It's loading right now. So you see here we got all the details in the rocks. Everything is there, and the HDR is completely burned. It's totally gone. There's nothing we can do about it, even if we bring down the highlights. And so that would not be usable in the gallery. You couldn't do big prints on that. So that's how I use the HDR in some occasions. Okay, another technique that I use that I really like is Vertorama. It's very narrow, so I would take one shot, then go a little higher up, take another shot, go higher up, take another shot. Then I'll select all three. I would right-click, Photo Merge, Panorama. Now, I also did them as an HDR, so you could HDR each one of them and then do Panorama. You would get an error message because there's a bug in Lightroom when you mix HDR and Panorama. But I spoke to some people at Adobe that say it's going to get corrected very soon. Okay, so that's the result you get. It's like, oh yeah, but that's so weird. It's going to take forever to look right. The good thing about the Antelope, and the Canyon is that it's so random. Look at this. All I'm going to do is click here on Boundary Wrap. Okay, get ready for this. Get ready for this. 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to go the whole way, and boom, and it just blended everything together, and now I've got a perfect Vertorama. I'm going to click on Merge. It's a little thin, yes, but it could be like that because it's very narrow. I have already done it, and it's here. It's here, and so all I have to do now is go to one of my famous, I'm in the develop module, preset that I'm going to give you. All this preset I'm going to give you for free. I'm going to give you a couple of these shots so you can train around. You can even print them. I'm going to give you, each file is 46 million pixels. You can make huge print with this, frame it, put it in your home, but please don't use it commercially. You can use it privately to train. You can print it for your own home, but do not use it commercially. Okay, so on this one, you see I can just go through my different preset, upper and lower canyon, and just look a look that I like. I know it's the looks I've been using, so they will be sort of consistent. I think I like this one, for example, and boom, voila. I can just, as usual, click here to move my daylight white balance, which is different. Okay, and maybe move it here, or you can just erase it if you don't like it. I love it. Okay, and here it's completely burned, so maybe I can lower the exposure, see if we can get that back. But it was more to demonstrate the use of Panorama. Okay, now, one thing I discovered talking to the guides, the Navajo guides, the Indians, and very nice people, by the way, is that they consider that some animals are curved into the stone. So, for example, this is the eagle. So you can see that's the wing of the eagle. He's in a full flight. That's the head of the eagle here. They see these animals. So that's the original photo, and what I did to where you can see the wing. So first I retouched it using one of my presets. So I just go through the different presets. I look in a preview, see which one I think is going to be the most cool on this one. I think this one looks great. Okay, that's good preset. But then I really wanted to make the eagle to come out. So what I did is I took a brush and I lowered the exposure on the brush. I made sure that the brush was, auto mask was off on this one. Flow and density pretty strong. So it's going to be a pretty strong brush. Okay, and what it's doing for now is that it's lowering the exposure. And I'm going to brush everywhere but where the eagle is. I want to make the eagle stand out, the eagle on its full flight. Okay, and I can lower this, something like this. And then what I did is, to make it stand, I created a new brush and I went the reverse. It's called, dodge and burn. And then this time I think I did put the auto mask on, and I just brushed a little bit on the face, wherever I wanted the shape to be. That's the eagle. Maybe that's a little strong. And well, just a little game to make, these animals come through. So I did this same technique here on the bear. Now check this out. I think this one's amazing. Look how you have like a bear face here. Let me zoom in on it. See here, that's the nose. That's his ears here. That's the back of his head, and so yeah, sorry. And so that's the beer and all. So I use the same technique. I darken everything but that. And this is what they call the lady in the wind. So you see, like, this is the hair of the lady. That's her face. That's her neck, and so I made everything dark. But um, this one is the bull. Which is the bull is supposed to be here. I don't see really a bull there. That's his nose. That's his mouth. That's his chin. That's his sort of corns. Uh, and yeah. And the last one is what they call the chief. The chief. It looks like an Indian chief. Uh, so you have that's the eyes, that's the nose, that's the mouth. So same technique. I made everything darker, but the head of the chief. So voila, that's some of the techniques I use. So I'm going to give you some HDR files. I'm going to give you some panoramas so you can play around with it. I'm going to give you all my presets. And really, if you get a chance to go into the into Page, Arizona, go to the Antelopes lower and upper. I would really do both. Do the photographic tour. There is 5 companies doing the upper ones, and there is 2 companies doing the lower ones. On the upper one, the one that I found is the first one. It's called the Antelope Tour, and you can ask for Patrick. Patrick was my guide, just the best guy in the world. Just say Search Remedy recommended Patrick. He's an Indian, but he's a great photographer. He knows all the angles. He showed me angles I would not have thought of without him. Anyways, I hope you enjoy this. I hope you're gonna travel and do some landscape photography. And voila, I want to talk to you before I leave you about my workshops coming up. I got 2 workshops coming up, and there was a few questions I got by email I wanted to answer. One is first the workshop. One is in Italy from the 6th of March to the 12th of March, 3 days in Venice, 3 days in Rome. It's going to be amazing. I mean, Venice and Rome, it's just after Paris, my favorite city in the world. We're going to have the best guy. We're going to have Alex Medai, who is one of the best, black and white photographer on very long exposure in the world, and I'm not kidding. And he's been there shooting for 8 years, so he's going to show us a place. The price includes a beautiful 4-star in Venice and Rome. And you can come with your wife or with your husband if you are a lady photographer. And the room is paid for. The only thing you would need to participate is some dinners if the person want to come to, because every night we're going to have a dinner. Usually the training is from after lunch till midnight because till very late, because usually we shoot very late in March. In Europe, it's already starting to be very late sunset. May in Paris, it's even worse. We shoot sometime up to midnight. So we usually work in the afternoon and in the night. So in the night we shoot, in the afternoon we retouch what we did the night before. And I'm going to bring you in some of the base places. So yes, you can come with your wife or with your husband. It's totally free. This includes everything except the flight ticket to go there and a few lunches. Everything else, all the transport, all the guides, all the permits, the 4-star hotel is paid for. Me, and I have 2 assistants with me that's going to get you through Rome and Venice and then to Paris. Paris is on the 8th of May to the 14th of May. And really, really cool experience. This is the 4th year I've been doing it. Oh, one question I also get a lot is how many people is there? Usually I take maximum 10 people. I got about already 3-4 people booked for each workshop. So, don't wait too much. But I never took more than 10 people. So it's a very small group, and it's very exclusive. We spend a lot of time, I spend a lot of time retouching your photos together that we shot the night before. So, and you will get a collection of photos in 1 week you will not believe. Whether you come to the Paris or Venice one, I would love to have you on board. Voila, you just go to my website, photosearch.com/workshops. And that was one of the most questioned. And of course, if you do come, you can stay more time. You can stay, I will put you in communication with the hotel, tell you which hotel we are going to. And so you can book more times if you want to or not. Not a problem at all. All right, I hope to see you in Paris or Venice or Rome. And mesdames et messieurs, see you next week.